woke up today just fired up and ready to go with some more spring outlooks here on Pigskin Frenzy. And it's the last week of spring outlooks. We have our last weekend of spring outlooks. We have today and then Thursday. And then after that, we go on with our spring football results. And that's going to go for another month and a half until mid-May with our spring football coverage. But this is our last group and last set and our last week of spring football outlooks. And we got a doozy today. The independent powerhouse Notre Dame, 2 teams from the Big Ten, USC and Penn State, as well as 1 team from the ACC, the SMU Mustangs. We are so fired up and ready. I listened to Bobby Caldwell this morning. You're thinking, Joel, Bobby Caldwell? Honestly, Bobby Caldwell, like, I mean, a person your age in this day and age doesn't really listen to Bobby Caldwell. Well, I do, and I love me some Bobby Caldwell. So if you guys haven't listened to Bobby Caldwell, listen to some soul music like him, listen to him because he is really, really good. May he rest in peace. He is a good musician. What You Won't Do for Love is a wonderful song. With that being said, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram is at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates and news and highlights from across college football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question as well as all things of today and exclusive content from Pigskin Frenzy. There's the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things today for Pigskin Frenzy. You will find a home and about me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. You can just name, email, contact info down below. I can answer your question on air or off air if need be. There's a platforms page, all the platforms page I just mentioned. Go and click on which one's your favorite listening style of the show. There's also store and affiliations pages. More on that coming soon as we continue to regularly update the website for Pigskin Frenzy. That is www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. All things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy on there. We are ready to rock and roll with some more spring football coverage here today. Guys, we were at 4,600. We're now at 4,800 listeners. We're getting so close to 5,000 new listeners. Guys, thank you for tuning in each and every Tuesday and Thursday for listening to Pigskin Frenzy. You are always appreciated. We love you all. We're all praying for you all. We could not do this without our Lord and Savior, Jesus. We give him all the praise for doing this show and for giving us 4,800 listeners to listen to this show each and every week. We're so fired up and we are so happy that you continue to dive deep into our content, dive deep into our show each and every week. We are ready to rock and roll episode 212 today for Spring Outlooks. We're going to kick it off with a good one for Spring Outlooks, and that is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a team that had a heck of a season last year for 2024. And you would have thought, it would have ended poorly, but it didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Week 1, they go into College Station against the debut of Mike Elko as Texas A&M's head coach. They go into College Station to play the Aggies, and they beat them. They beat them straight up in College Station. They then go back to South Bend to play Northern Illinois and led by head coach Thomas Hammock, and they lost. They lost to Thomas Hammock in Northern Illinois. What the heck happened, Notre Dame? They ended up losing that game 16-14. The offense was in all sorts of disarray. Riley Leonard couldn't throw the ball well. The running backs couldn't lead into the run because they couldn't throw the ball well. The offensive line was not a cohesive unit. Thomas Hammock gave Marcus Freeman a call, and he said, you know what? Let me tell you how you can get over this loss. He took the call, took the advice, and then week 3 onward, Notre Dame just got better, and they got better, and they got better, and Riley Leonard started becoming more of a sharper quarterback. He started throwing the ball a little bit better, running the ball a little bit better. The running backs with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price started getting a lot better. The offensive line became more physical and tough and blocked well. The defense started playing more tough and physical each and every week. They just got better, and then they started dominating their opponents more, and you're thinking, this is not the same Notre Dame team that played in week 2 at all, and they weren't. They played so good and dominated their opponents to the point where they got into the playoffs first round. They played Indiana, and they ended up beating Indiana in South Bend. Then you're thinking, okay, they played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. They're not going to beat them in the Sugar Bowl. That's Georgia. They're a tough team. They've been top dogs for the past few years. They not only beat Georgia, but they out-physicaled Georgia. They dominated Georgia physically, and they beat them in the Sugar Bowl up front, and they go on to play Penn State in the Orange Bowl. And then you're thinking, oh, they're not going to beat Penn State. They ended up beating Penn State on a game-winning field goal. They beat Penn State, and they go to the national championship game. Shocker. They ended up falling short in the national championship game against Ohio State, the eventual national champions. But in his third year, he did what Brian Kelly has not done at Notre Dame, and that's win New Year's Six bowls, win playoff games, and go to the national champion. Oh, he did go to the national championship, but you know what I mean. Win playoff games and win a whole stretch and then go to the national championship. Fell short. He fell short, but he came close to winning it. So where does that leave them heading into 2025 and heading into this spring? I'm going to tell you. Their spring game, they will have a spring game. It's April 12th, this Saturday. Head coach Marcus Freeman is back in his fourth year, along with offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock in his second year at the helm. You got new defensive coordinator Chris Ash. He was the Rutgers head coach up until 2019. The assistant co-defensive coordinator for Ohio State in 2014 when they won the national championship in that season. And he replaces Al Golden, who is now at the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals as their defensive coordinator. They also get, and this is a big key move, associate head coach and running backs coach Jawan Sider. He is now with Notre Dame. He left Penn State to be with Notre Dame. He coached one good running back room, and now he's coaching another good running back room within the Fighting Irish. So some good staff pieces together for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. They bring back some guys like Jaden Greathouse, like Jadarian Price, like Jeremiah Love. They lose some guys like Xavier Watts on the defense and Riley Leonard at quarterback. But they still pretty much have a lot of the same players coming back from last season's team, which I think there's a lot of good teams in college football, and Notre Dame's going to be one of them entering the 2025 season and in this spring. So without any further ado, let's talk about what I want to see from them this spring and heading into the fall camp in 2025. The number one thing I want to see from Notre Dame is who's going to replace Riley Leonard at quarterback. Who replaces Riley Leonard at quarterback? Who is going to be that guy for them, and who is going to take that leap in the quarterback spot? Number one, you look at Steve Angeli, because he did really, really good in the Orange Bowl, made some good timing throws. You also got C.J. Carr at the helm as well. You got him. He can make some good timely throws as well. Accurate decision-making, good, timely, precision-type throws that these two guys can make. It is good to have a quarterback with legs, but you got a heck of a running back room with Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Jabrian Payne in the backfield. You can ease up on the running as a quarterback and just throw the ball a lot more downfield. And I think that these quarterbacks have that strength. I think a lot of spectators are sleeping on these quarterbacks, and I think that these guys have the ability to deliver the ball downfield to guys like Jaden Greathouse in that receiving room. So number one, who is going to take that leap in the quarterback position and replace Riley Leonard as a starting quarterback? Is it going to be Steve Angeli or C.J. Carr? We can only find out during the spring and or heading into fall camp for the 2025 seasons. And that's number one and what I want to see out of Notre Dame right now. Number two, I want to see the depth of the secondary. Xavier Watts is gone. In comes a lot of other talent for the secondary. Who steps up and takes up that mantle as the playmaker for that secondary? You got Devontae Smith playing at corner, nickel corner to be exact. Transfer out of Alabama. He is now with the Fighting Irish. He can be a good playmaker for that secondary on the defense. You got other guys on that team as well who could step up that mantle, but who, though? That is a key there, and what we want to see out of Notre Dame heading into the spring and the 2025 season and fall camp. That's number two. Number three, what we want to see also, last but not least, is the conditioning and health of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They have a lot of guys that are depleted on that offensive line and on that team. I want to see the health and conditioning of that team heading into the conclusion of this spring and heading into fall camp for the 2025 season. I really want to see that. I'm curious about it. I'm concerned a little bit. I want to see if they can get a little bit more healthy heading into the fall camp and to the 2025 season. So that is all I got that is the spring outlook and all I got for Notre Dame. Number one, who's going to take that leap at the quarterback competition and the quarterback spot to replace Riley Leonard? Number two, who's going to take up that mantle to replace Xavier White and be a playmaker at the secondary, whether it's going to be Devontae Smith or somebody else? And then number three, I want to see the conditioning and the health of that Notre Dame team overall. That's what I want to see. I'm curious about it. I cannot wait to see how they're going to look and conditioning-wise and health-wise heading into the conclusion of this spring and into fall camp. Go support them. This Saturday, April 12th, is their spring game. I don't know if it's televised, but if you are hearing me from Indiana, go and support them. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That is our spring outlook on Notre Dame and what we want to see from them. A team that is familiar with Notre Dame as well, and they're out in the Big Ten, is USC. Switching gears to the Big Ten now, and that is the USC Trojans, a team that I find quite interesting. They had a lot of ups and downs, including some tough losses against Maryland and Minnesota, games that they weren't not supposed to lose, and then they played some games that they were supposed to lose, like a Michigan, like a Penn State, like a Notre Dame, and they ended up losing those games. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, what is this going to happen? Lincoln Riley is going to need this season as he's entering his fourth year. Going into this season and in this spring, USC has no spring game. Their spring practice officially concludes on April 26th. Head coach Lincoln Riley, assistant head coach Dennis Simmons, offensive coordinator Luke Heward, defensive coordinator Deonton Lynn, and co-defensive coordinator Eric Henderson, alongside assistant head coach for the defense Rob Ryan, is the key staff for this USC Trojans team. There is no spring game. Spring concludes April 26th. But with this team, you're thinking they didn't have the best season. But let me tell you something. You're going to get shocked, and you're going to think, are you high? So just let me explain myself. They kind of didn't have that. They weren't that bad. Now, hold up. Let me explain myself. Yes, they only won about 7 or 8 games. I understand that. But they weren't that bad overall. I thought they were going to be a lot worse than they were after that LSU game. So hear me out. They start off hot winning the LSU game, and then they ended up dropping a few games, and they're like, what's going to happen with USC? Look, they had a lot of the lead leading into the fourth quarter in a lot of games. Leading into the fourth quarter in a lot of football games. Last season, they had a lot of good moments. And they had a lead in a lot of games, and they played a lot of teams close and showed some fight in a lot of games, including the Penn State and Michigan games. You're going to say to yourself, dude, what are you talking about? They led in the fourth quarter in a lot of games. They had a lot of good moments. They showed some good promise in a lot of games. They ended up having a bad hand, okay? When you're playing poker and you hold up your cards and you have a 3 of a kind and you lay it down and you're bragging, you're like, I got a 3 of a kind. You better beat that. And then the other person lays down a straight flush or a full house. You're thinking, well, crap, I lost all my chips, right? I lost all my poker chips, lost my money. I don't know what's going to happen there, right? So it's like, well, dang. USC was that. USC just got dealt with a bad hand in a lot of situations. They had a 3 of a kind. The other team had a full house or a straight flush, okay? So they got dealt with a bad hand. Now it's time to see if USC can flip the script and reverse it. Let them have a bad hand and let them have all the cards and all the chips, right? USC, Lincoln Riley's entering his 4th year. I am thinking about this a lot. You're going to think, another key area here, you're going to think, are you insane for saying this? Lincoln Riley, yes, his seat is a little bit hot. No secret, right? I'm going to sit there and say this, though. I think Lincoln Riley will not get fired or not get there's not going to be any coaching moves after this season. You're going to sit there and think, are you serious? Yes, even if they win only 7 games, Lincoln Riley will not be removed. He will still be the head coach for USC in 2026. I believe that. Why? Because I honestly think that USC just cannot afford it right now, and they can't. The money's too big. I will say that his seat will get a little bit higher, and then they will start raising and getting the money for the buyout this year if he only wins 7 games. I think the seat will get extra hot if he wins up to 7 games and doesn't win any more than that. I don't think he'll get removed as head coach, but I think he will return in 2026. But I do think that his seat will get a little bit extra hot if he doesn't win 7 games. With that being said, they have to win at least 9 games. That's the minimum. I think they got to. If not, it's going to get a lot worse. That's all I'm saying. But USC, good news is they're recruiting like a college football program. They are doing really, really good in recruiting for 2026 so far. Did they lose some guys in the portal? Yes, but they still got some talent entering this year, and I'm curious to see what USC is going to do. So without any further ado, let's go to the number one thing that I want to see from the Trojans entering the spring and in conclusion of the spring and entering the fall camp of 2025 season. Number one, the development of Jaden Maya-Ava as QB1 of this team. His first full season as QB1. He replaced Miller Moss late in the second half of last year, who is now at Louisville. Miller Moss is. Now, Jaden Maya-Ava can have a full season at starting quarterback. He did really, really well in the second, or in some moments in the second half of the season. He actually led them to a Las Vegas Bowl win. USC is coming off of a Las Vegas Bowl win against Texas A&M, and they're looking to capitalize on that. So you capitalize off that momentum with Jaden Maya-Ava being more developed as QB1 for this team. I want to see the development of him. You still got Sam Heward coming in as the backup. You can rely on him if anything goes wrong with Jaden Maya-Ava, but I would fully rely on Jaden Maya-Ava as being your QB1 heading into this season and the development of him and getting him fully ready for the season. That's number one. Number two, who's going to be wide receiver number 3? You got Jacoby Lane. You got Jay Fair. Guys, excuse me. You got guys like Corey Sims, freshman out of St. Louis, Missouri. Guys like him, who's going to take up that role as wide receiver number 3 for the USC Trojans? That's number 3. Or number 2, who's going to be wide receiver number 3 in the receiving core on this offense? And then number 3, even more of the development of the USC defense. 2 years ago, it was one of the worst. It was up to par with LSU as one of the worst things I've seen with Alex Grinch. Then they got a little bit more better last year. It was an upgrade. Deontay Lynn did really, really well, but I want to see if Deontay Lynn can do it. Deontay Lynn can do really, really good this year and take up that mantle and be even more developed of the defense, along with Rob Ryan, Eric Simmons. I want to see if this defense can go good, or Eric Henderson and go good. Can Eric Henderson, Deontay Lynn, and Rob Ryan just make this defense even more aggressive in the Big Ten? That's number 3, and what I want to see in this spring, the development, the even more development of that defense. So that is my spring outlook for the USC Trojans. Number 1, the development of Jordan Maya-Ava at quarterback, what I want to see from him entering the spring and heading into the season. Number 2, who's going to be that wide receiver 3 to look back on heading to the conclusion of the spring and entering the 2025 season. That's number 2. Number 3, the full-on development of USC's defense, and what I want to see if they can get even better this year after, working and building that defense from the ground up. They conclude their spring practice on April 26th. Let's see how USC does. We will have spring results on them within the next few weeks. That is USC's spring outlook. Let's go and shift over from the Big Ten to the ACC before going back to the Big Ten to conclude this episode. The ACC with the SMU Mustangs, the ACC champion runner-ups from last year. You're thinking, are you serious on saying that? Yes. Pony up is all I got to say. Man, when Rhett Lashley and this team went from the Group of 5 to the Power 4, I was curious about the move. I was thinking they won the American Conference Championship, and they're going from there to the ACC. How are they going to fare? They do have a lot of talent, but how are they going to fare in the ACC? They shocked me because in my last conference standing projections during the offseason last year, they were like 5 or 6. They ended up going to the ACC championship. And just when you think they had a lot of problems with turnovers in 1 week or penalties in 1 week, you're thinking the next week it's gonna catch up to them. They end up correcting it in 1 week's time and then destroying the next game and the next team they play. When the big moments show up, usually SMU was on target and on fire. SMU was a solid football team last year. Rhett Lashley did a heck of a job last year. They made it all the way to the ACC championship against Clemson. They lost that game, but still made it into the playoff. They ended up getting beat pretty good by Penn State, but they made it to the college football playoff, and Rhett Lashley's looking to bounce back and capitalize on that and try to make another run at it in the ACC this year. Rhett Lashley returns as head coach of this team. You have Rhett Lashley, you have Rhett Lashley on this team. You have offensive coordinator Casey Woods and defensive coordinator Scott Simons on this team, all coming back. There is no spring game, and spring practice concludes on Friday, April 25th, and we will have spring results on them in the next few weeks. I am curious to see what happens with this team. Spring outlook time. Let's go with some SMU spring outlooks. Number one, and what I want to see out of the spring for SMU. Number one, the championship level of Kevin Jennings. I think Kevin Jennings is a solid quarterback. I want to see if he can take that next leap. Like I said with Luke Altmaier, and like I said with Sam Leavitt, I want to see if Kevin Jennings, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in college football this year. Kevin Jennings is one of them. I want to see if he can take that leap in as the starting quarterback for the SMU Mustangs. Nobody else is behind him. It's just Kevin Jennings. He's the full-on guy. I want to see in big moments, because in big moments, like against Penn State and against Clemson, he didn't play his best, but I want to see if he can do that. Be more developed in the big-time moments, take that championship leap, and see if he can be more sound as a quarterback in the bigger time games. And he can get ready by doing that this spring. The full-on development of Kevin Jennings in the spring. That's what I wanted. That's the number one thing I want to see from SMU. Number two, who replaces Brashard Smith at running back? That's number two. He was a solid playmaker. You hear me? A solid playmaker. A speedy back who is now into the NFL, and he is in the NFL draft. I want to see who replaces him at running back. You got guys like You got guys like LJ Johnson Jr. from Texas A&M, 5'10", redshirt senior, 219 pounds. He can be that guy as well to be a good replacement for Brashard Smith, a speedster, another speedster who could be a really, really good guy for SMU on the ground. I am high on him. You also... You also got guys like Chris Johnson Jr., sophomore, redshirt sophomore from Miami in Dillard High School, transferring in, 6 foot, 180 pounds. You got guys like Chris Johnson Jr., and you got guys like LJ Johnson Jr. I dropped my pen. You also got guys like Zane Miners at running back, 5'11", 184 pounds, redshirt senior. A lot of guys in that running back room, an underrated running back room for SMU and Rhett Lashley, who replaces Brashard Smith at running back and takes up that mantle as a starting running back and gets the majority of the snaps at running back for this team. And then number three, I want to see defensive line. I want to see what the defensive line is going to look like heading in for SMU. You got guys like Terry Webb, fifth-year senior out of Texas State, coming in, 6'3", 314 pounds. You also got guys like DJ Warner, sophomore out of Kansas, coming in. You got a lot of guys on that D-line who can make some noise. I want to see what that defensive line is going to do during the spring and how well they're going to perform overall and how physical they're going to be overall. So though that is a big thing that I want to see out of SMU this spring and how it can translate into the fall camp and into the 2025 season for SMU. That is really all I got for SMU and their spring outlooks. Number one, what I want to see is the full-on development of Kevin Jennings as QB1. Nobody behind him, no Preston Stone. I want to see how Kevin Jennings can fare full-on there. That's number one. Number two, I want to see who's going to replace Brashard Smith at running back, whether it's LJ Johnson or Miners and Zane Miners, and you got Chris Johnson Jr. I want to see who replaces Brashard Smith and takes up the majority of the snaps at running back for this SMU team and this SMU offense. And then number three, I want to see what that defensive line is going to look like and how well they're going to be, bolstered up and how they're going to look during the spring and the conclusion of the spring, heading into fall camp and in the 2025 season. That is what I want to see from them. That is my spring outlook on SMU. Their spring practice concludes April 25th. There is no spring game for SMU this year. That is what I want to see out of SMU heading in to the season and in the spring. So that is their spring outlook. Is what is now we're now transitioning now, but in the ACC to the Big Ten to conclude our spring outlook coverage today and our spring football coverage. Going back to the Big Ten, we're going to conclude it with the Penn State Nittany Lions. We are Penn State. A heck of a season last year. They went all the way undefeated up until Ohio State, lost to Ohio State. The offensive struggles happened again there, but then they ended up playing a little bit better and a little bit better. Ohio State ended up losing to Michigan. Penn State ended up winning out, and then they ended up going to the Big Ten Championship. They ended up going to the Big Ten Championship against Oregon. They lost to Oregon, but they held their own against Oregon. They ended up going and playing the first round in the college football playoff. They're thinking, can James Franklin finally win a big game? And he did. He won a big game finally in the playoff against SMU and Rhett Lashley. And then he won a big game against Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. They won the Fiesta Bowl, and then they went to the Orange Bowl, the semifinal, one win away from the national title, and they come just short at the very last second following a Drew Allard interception. James Franklin and company a little bit heartbroken, but after that game, they collectively everybody collectively got together, and they're pretty much bringing back a lot of players, especially on offense, a lot of guys from that team heading into the 2025 season. So what's next after that Orange Bowl loss, right? Let me go on and tell you something about Penn State. They need to fix the defensive line. They're losing Abdul Carter to the draft. They're losing a lot of guys on that defensive line. But I want to tell you this. Offensively and a little bit defensively, they can bolster up. I think this team will be top 5 preseason entering the season. Going into August, this team will be top 5 preseason, no doubt. I think why? Because I think they got the team, they got the coaching staff, they have a heck of a lineup. I think that this team's going to be fired up and motivated. They have the team on offense. They just brought in 2 guys. 2 receivers that they desperately needed through the transfer portal that could be 2 difference makers for this team at receiver because they needed some receiving help, but these guys can be it. I'm curious to see how they do, and I think they have a shot at running the table. James Franklin says they have the tools necessary to probably win or most likely win a national championship this year. And I think he may be right. I really do. I think they are up there on winning a national championship. Not joking. I'm not going to sit there and say that they're my favorites right now until otherwise. I'll give that a little bit later heading into the season, like I did last year with Ohio State and/or Georgia. But Penn State was looking really, really good. I'm curious and excited to see how they look. And I'm curious about my spring outlooks for them because this is what I want to see heading into the spring and heading into the 2025 season for Penn State. Number 1 is the defense. Who is going to step on the defensive line? They got a lot of guys who have lost, especially Abdul Carter. They lost on the defensive line. Number 1, who steps up on the defensive line? I want to see how well that's going to work out on the defensive line there. That's number 1, what I want to see out of Penn State's for our spring outlook out of Penn State. They got some guys on defense, don't get me wrong, but I want to see who steps up on the, up that mantle, right? You got LeVar Arrington the second, legendary player in the NFL, legendary football player. LeVar Arrington's son, LeVar Arrington Jr., is now with Penn State at linebacker. He can play a hybrid linebacker role who can go to the edge. He is number 11 for this team. The same number that Micah Parsons wore, the same number that Abdul Carter has just now wore. He has got the coveted number 11 jersey. He could be that hybrid linebacker / edge rusher for this team. He could be a guy who could step up and be early on and be that guy and playmaker for this Penn State defense. You also got on the defensive line, as I go through my notes, you also got guys on the defensive line like LeVar Arrington, like Yvonne Kamajau, freshman. You also have guys like Jordan Meyer, redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman DeAndre Cook. You got a lot of guys on the defensive line, Bobby Mears, a lot of guys who could step up on the defensive line for this team. So I want to see who's going to step up on the defensive line for this team now that a lot of the guys are gone off to the NFL. So that's number 1, what I want to see from Penn State. Number 2, what I want to see also is the structure and foundation of that defense. It was a tough defense with Tom Allen there. now that Jim Knowles is there, who's a very, very tough defensive coordinator, he brought it with Ohio State. He is now there, one of the highest paid defensive coordinators. He's the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football, one of the best in college football. What's Penn State's defense and foundation going to look like under Jim Knowles? Is it going to be even tougher than Tom Allen's defense? How well are they going to be? How well are they going to mesh well? I want to see what Jim Knowles is going to do structurally and foundation as Penn State's defensive coordinator. So that's number 2 and what I want to see from Penn State. And then number 3, the wide receivers. I want to see how well these receivers can do. You got Kyron Hudson coming in from USC as a transfer. He is number 11 for this team. He made some incredible flashy catches like the one against LSU in the opener with USC. I want to see if he could be that big-time playmaker for Drew Allard because Drew Allard needs some wide receiver help. Got guys like him. I want to see... Anthony Ivy, redshirt junior. He could be that guy at number 12 at receiver for them too. You have a lot of guys at receiver. Caden Saunders, Matt Otten, Devontae Ross out of Cartersville, Georgia. You got a lot of guys on this team that could make an impact at wide receiver, right? And I want to see how well they do at wide receiver for this team heading into the spring and conclusion of this spring, heading in to the fall camp in 2025 season. So that is my outlook on Penn State. Number 1, the defensive line. How's that going to look for in the spring heading into there? Number 2, I want to see what's going on with the defense as a whole, the structure of the defense under Jim Knowles as defensive coordinator. Are they going to be even more tough than Tom Allen's defense? And then number 3, I want to see the receivers and how well that's going to be bolstered up for Drew Allard to have a solid offense heading in to the 2025 season at the conclusion of this spring. They have a spring game, by the way. Spring game will be April 26th, and it will not be televised. It will not be televised. They will have a spring game on April 26th. James Franklin, head coach, returns again for his 15th year as Penn State's head coach. Offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki is back, along with new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles is back, and that is the key staff for Penn State. That is a spring outlook for Penn State. That was also our outlooks for Notre Dame, USC, SMU, and now Penn State. Guys, we are out of time. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football and spring football coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow about the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news, and highlights from across college football. Trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's college football question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, there is the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com for all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy and more. We will be back Thursday, guys. A big thank you for taking some time out of your day to listen to Pigskin Frenzy and some spring football coverage and some college football presented by me. 4,600 listeners were a couple of days ago. We are now at 4,800 listeners. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time to tune in to each and every week, for listening to Pigskin Frenzy and making us your platform to get some fun, lighthearted, truthful takes for college football. We love you all. We're praying for you all. Guys, if you want to come to know Jesus, come, X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy and the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com for more questions on how you get to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Because without him, we wouldn't have the platform to be doing this show. We give him all the praise and glory for the 4,800 listeners and for just giving us the platform to do this show. Without him, nothing would be possible. So we praise Jesus for Pigskin Frenzy and blessing us with this platform. We are so happy and so thankful to be serving our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, guys, we love you all. We will be back Thursday with our latest spring outlook edition, our last round of spring outlooks. For the spring, we're going all 4 SEC teams. We're talking about Florida. We're talking about Auburn. We're talking about Tennessee as well. And we're talking about Missouri, Florida, Auburn, Missouri, and Tennessee coming up this Thursday for our last round of Spring Outlooks. All 4 SEC teams this Thursday in our last round of Spring Outlooks. Until Thursday's episode of Pigskin Frenzy, guys, I'm Joel Norris. We're signing off. Guys, we're praying for you all. We love you all. As always, stay the course.